Welcome
Hello.
to another episode of Logistics with Purpose. My name's Enrique Alvarez, and I'm here with Nuria. Nuria, today we're doing something slightly different than we normally do, right? We're come together, leveraging logistics for Valencia after the horrible floodings. A lot of suffering, a lot of people have been affected, and so we wanted to put a panel together of leaders in the area, people actually living in Valencia, to not only give us a little bit more information about what happened, what's the situation right now, but more importantly, what are we going to do as a supply chain community going forward, trying to support, trying to help our friends and team in Valencia. How's it going, Nuria?
Really good. Thank you. I'm really excited for the conversation today with this amazing group of people, or everyone from different backgrounds and industries coming together for this cause. So very
Absolutely.
excited.
And tragic cause, but we have a good panel. And let me just, without further ado, introduce each and every one. Justo Marmol from Translog Overseas, Maxim Molina from Tancomed, Arturo Torres from Matteco, and Laura Pedrero Castrillon from B-Lab Spain. Thank you all so much for taking the time and being here with us. I'm sure we're going to be very excited about having you. And of course, the audience will have a lot of things to learn and a lot of questions to ask afterwards. So thanks again for being here. Nuria, go ahead.
Okay, so we are so thankful to have you on this panel. You're a group in which each of you has a specific experience or expertise, and we are willing to share and learn more about your knowledge and your perspective. The goal of this panel is to discuss how, by unifying purpose and efforts, we can support the current situation in Valencia. We will learn more about the importance of logistics, the union between organizations, the collaboration, and of course, the global communication to support the families affected by the floods in Valencia. So to start off, what do you consider to be the biggest logistical challenge facing organizations in response to a natural disaster? Who wants to start?
I can start.
Okay.
From our side, I think one of the biggest challenges in ensuring efficient coordination among diverse stakeholders, including governments, NGOs, companies, and local communities. So I think in the case of a disaster, resources like food, water, and medical supplies may exist, but delivering them to the right place at the right time can become extremely difficult due to the matter damages infrastructures, limited communication channels, or even the lack of a central strategy. And I think that was the key thing in our Dear Valencia catastrophe or Dana.
My point of view is that normally speaking, in every country, the institution which is well prepared and it is the most prepared one to face a natural disaster or to help after a natural disaster is the army. So I think this is the problem we faced here in Spain, that it took a long time to call the army or to instruct the army to be in the place. These guys are working the whole life to be prepared to organize, and they are the only one that has the tools to do, to face and to go to a place after a disaster.
Max, what do you think? In your opinion, what would be the?
Well, depending the phases that we suffer in each moment. During all, it's already this happened the 29th of October, if I'm not wrong, a Tuesday. And until today, we are still facing issues with a lot of garage and a lot of houses that are still having flood and humidity in the houses. Then It's true that the first step was try to have electricity, to have normal water coming to the houses, bring food, medicals to the people. But now to achieve the normality, we still have plenty of cars that are still stuck in many places, many things to clean. Even we have a lot of volunteers, and also, as Justo said, we have the military who are helping. We still face a lot of machinery, heavy machinery needed to do all these type of movements of material that must be burnt or broken or brought to a special recycling place. Also, a lot of cars are stacked or parked, let's say, or they left it one of the top of the other outside in the industrial areas. We also must need to move all this material. Then we are still speaking about heavy machinery that must be that is needed, and this would be the nearest need that we have in the locations where we suffered all these floods.
Arturo, thank you so much, Max, for that. And yeah, you're kind of like painting a very, I guess, chaotic picture of kind of what the flooding came in Valencia and what it is now. Arturo, in your experience, could you tell us a bit more about the situation right now? And by the way, if you don't mind, just introducing yourself briefly and your company, and how are you guys personally and affected? Because I know that you actually are in Valencia right now. Just go ahead and tell us your opinion about this.
Okay, so this is Arturo Torres. I'm working at Matteco, and what is Matteco? It's a company merged into the green hydrogen market, and we are willing to deploy a new material technology to provide catalytic coating to improve the performance of electrolyzers. And what an electrolyzer is a device, is a machine who is able to produce hydrogen like an energy. So we think that will be the future of the decarbonized world for the coming years. And as we are part of the holding group, which is a Thubi group, we decide when this disaster happens, we decide to contribute to helping our neighbors. And regarding your question is what are the biggest challenges? I would say that there are a few topics. The first is understanding perfectly what the needs are for the areas and affected individuals. So different people, different area has different needs. And to me, after this experience, the last month and a half, we need to understand perfectly and in real time how these needs are changing, and be able to connect the needs of the affected people with the supply of donors. So, because we have also suffered some misunderstanding between what the people need and what the donors were supplying. And in some cases that become a problem when you supply too much things or things that are not really needs. So to me, the first issue within this big challenge is to well understand the needs and communicate rapidly and conveying this information to donors. Other thing is just to coordinate properly the aid network to avoid duplication or gaps. Sometimes if you are not well coordinated, in some cases it has been happened in Valencia, a lack of coordination. We have been doing too much support to some areas and forgetting some others, and this is something that we need to take as lesson learned for the future, that the coordination is a key issue. Moreover, other topic is to design an efficient and very competitive logistic flow. We are moving a huge amount of goods, and we need to be very efficient to inbound, outbound, and also the intra-logistic. And the last but not least is to coordinate properly the volunteers. You know that in Valencia has been a massive number of volunteers, but we need to be very professional in this coordination as to organize and to profit their skills, providing necessary trainings, and in some cases ensuring clear and constant communication. That is for me one of the biggest point that we have to put on the table when we have to give support to natural disaster.
And we'll talk a little bit about some of those. You mentioned understanding the needs per area and how the needs change over time, and then of course coordinating properly with the network and the volunteers and designing logistical flow. So thank you so much, Arturo. We'll definitely dive into some of these topics during this panel.
Yeah, really interesting, and precisely to that point. So I'd like to ask, Justo, in your experience, how has your company coordinated with humanitarian organizations and governments for the efficient distribution of aid in disaster-affected areas? You are on mute, Justo. You are on mute.
Sorry. It was very difficult at the first stage because our warehouse was just in the main place where the flood took place in an industrial area of Ribarroja, and all our neighbors has been affected. Only 2 warehouses in the big logistic industrial area have not been affected, and one of the 2 was ours.
Wow.
So the area was closed for 9 days. So we could get inside of the industrial area after 9-10 days. So at the time we started to work, we received cargo from 3 different non-governmental agencies, and we help them, and don't charge them, I mean, at all. The only condition we put is that it was that to be half product, that the real help people. These 3 organizations we already known from the past, so we've been working together. At the second stage, we've been delivering, for example, raining boats for people to clean. Our vans were escorted by the police to deliver, because if not, we get kidnapped by thieves, right away. So and that was our experience, with the non-governmental organization. And of course, everybody everybody that could help at that time was helping, because we helped many colleagues from Valencia that had urgent matters, and they could not afford at that time to do that matter. So that's what we did.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, one of the things we saw in our supply chain community was how quickly everyone came together. Maybe sometimes a little bit too quick, to Arturo's point, right? Because there were too many volunteers, too many organizations, too many people trying to donate, and maybe we needed a little bit better of coordination. But with that said, Maxim, in your experience, you tell us a little bit more about what you do in your company. I know that you're coordinating bulk cargo, and you were talking a little bit about what you did to bring water and some other things. So tell us a little bit more about how you faced the problem, what your company did, and of course, what you guys are doing now.
Well, I apologize before I did not present myself. My name is Maxim Molina. I'm the general manager of Tancomed company as part of Alonso Group. We are a freight forwarding company that we are specialized in transporting liquid bulk transport with ISO tank and flexibags. Then we have our own equipment, chemical and elementary food stuff. Then I faced from home the 28th when the 29th, sorry, at night when everything happened. the day after, as the government did not move or did not react as fast as it should. That's why we had so many volunteers, like my company, myself, and other hundreds, I would say thousands of people wanted to help our brothers, cousins, friends, families. We started to move. That's why we arrived to like a small chaos with a non-organization to try and help all these peoples. Then what I tried is, well, I have trucks, I have tanks. Let's speak with who does some administration of the water here in Valencia. Let's speak with city halls, with polices, and let's try our best to bring water to the people that they needed, because they had no water, no electricity, no food, no clothes. Then we finally could, Saturday afternoon, 48 hours after the disaster, bring some water, 24,000 liters of water with 2 different trucks in 2 different locations affected. Like that, they could drink, cook, and have at least the minimum to try and live with the minimum they need.
You mentioned,
After all,
Max, sorry to interrupt you there, but you mentioned on that particular note that the highways and all it was blocked. So there was no way to go in and out of Valencia for a while, right? Is that something that's no longer the problem, or?
This is correct, Victor. We had, in the beginning, we had 250 kilometers of roads blocked, broken, we could not use, 60 bridges that were also lost. We are speaking of 250 kilometers of highways, 250 kilometers of national small roads. Then it was completely a challenge to try to arrive to the locations affected. All the volunteers that wanted to go to the nearest area of Valencia had to leave their cars 1 hour walking away to park the car, bring all you could with by your own, and arrive to Paiporta and all these locations that were affected. Then it was really a challenge to arrive, and also the main road that was arriving to the port was also blocked to have it free for ambulances, for all the main needs and trucks, important trucks that had to arrive to the affected areas. Then all the trucks with the containers that come in outbound from Valencia had to pass by the middle of the city. This was also a new challenge for all our transport companies. And well, after all the situation, I had all the connections. After the water, we could bring medical products, also food, clothes, cleaning products. Then we continued with gas to cook because the people had no electricity. Then we continued. Finally, now we are with trying to help the schools and the children to also receive some gifts and some presents for their Christmas, because they are not going to school. They are living the same situation that they suffered in the COVID in 2020 and 2019. Then well, trying to help depending on the moment of each moment with different type of needs with the connections I have.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the future and next steps and what we need to do. Justo, I think you actually wanted to say something. Are the roads now open?
No, go ahead. I mean,
well, Arturo was talking a little bit before we started recording about the cars piling, and I believe there was a fire. So 2 questions for you, Arturo. One, what happened for our listeners? And then, is the situation controlled, and can now the flow of products and relief efforts and support freely move in and out of Valencia at this particular time?
So to me, the situation is not at all under control. After, I think it's about 45 days ago, the disaster happens. in the area, in the affected area, they have still some difficulties to have a easy access, as Max said a few earlier. It's not so easy now to access with food, with basic needs. They have problem of electricity still. So it's something that we are going to suffer, and we have to live with for a long time. So we need to structure something to try to help them, to give different solutions at different time, because what they need today will be completely different than what they will need in a couple of months. Now they need, let's say, some food, water, milk, okay, clothes if you want, medical cares, but in 3 months or 2 months they will need furniture, or they will need refurbishing, manpower, they will need other things, and for sure what we will have to take in mind is to provide some money, some funds, because everything we provide in terms of goods has a logistic cost, and it's not really flexible. You have some delay if you need to change when somebody supply a truck of water. If you don't need water anymore, you cannot do anything. If you provide funds in terms of money, you are very flexible to adapt day to day of what the real needs are changing. So if today is water, you can buy water. If they need tomorrow beds, you can buy beds. And what is important is also when you transport goods, you make the business far away of the affected area. What is important is you spend the money in the local businesses just to help them in 2 ways. The first is because you provide the aid, but also you spend the money when they need to restructure and to so this is, to me, that what we have to look forward is in which way we can give support, and what is the best way to provide it.
Thank you. Nuria, I think you had a couple of questions.
No, that has been a constant since the disaster happened. That it has been, well, the lack of coordination, and also lots of people coming together and helping out, and overwhelming in some ways with needs that weren't needed at that moment. So it is important to that's why it's so important to coordinate all of that. So next we have Laura from B-Lab Spain, and she brings a unique perspective to our discussion today about Valencia floods. So Laura, please, can you explain a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and about the initiative you are leading within the B Corp Spain community? And also, can you tell us how many B Corps in Spain have joined this effort, and how many donations have been made, or how are these companies coordinating their actions to support the recovery?
Well, thank you, Nuria. Yes. First, I apologize, I didn't introduce myself before. I'm Laura from Bilbao, Spain. B Corp movement, B-Lab mobilized the B Corp community towards collective action to address society's critical challenges. B-Lab is a global nonprofit driving the B Corp movement, uniting business to use their force or influence for good. Certified B corporations meet the highest standards for social and environmental performance. So as a movement, we respond, or we try to support our B Corp community in Valencia. So at this point, from the very beginning of the DANA, we responded as a unified movement, guided by our B local team in Valencia, who were on the ground as people. And I really liked, those phrases. It's very controversial, but after Dana, we start hearing people save people, which is what, it was what happened there. Every single person in Valencia helped. And we use the force of the movement to provide information, to respond on time with the specific needs and every single moment. I think we are now in a different phase, but we mobilize big companies and communities across Spain, ensuring that the information was widely shared and the resources were delivered promptly to where they were needed most. Additionally, we secure logistical collaborations to streamline the delivery of aid, as Pax mentioned before. Everything was locked. Every single town in Spain was sending help, trucks, cars. So I think we had like 2 weeks where there was no place to storage all this help. The help arrives probably. It wasn't a good managed because every single person around Spain was sending what they thought it was needed or what they heard that it probably wasn't updated. So our local team were providing this information. One of the B Corps in Valencia, Comercio, they fight against food waste. So they have the contact with all social entities that distribute this food to people who need. So at this point, it was something, for us was really valuable because we found through this team a way to receive all this help, storage, and distribute to the local social entities in every single town that was affected by Dana. The problem was that was not centralized. So it took us like 8 hours to arrive to these affected areas. And when we arrived, this town or this association was receiving this help already. So probably what we try to do from Vila, Spain, and we are in Madrid, we're 300 kilometers from Valencia, trying to be kind of speakers and then trying to provide this information, explaining every single stage what was needed. We made a website with this updated information. And I think at this point, we didn't finish to measure this impact because after more than 1 month supporting, working closely on the ground, our team is affected because emotionally it was huge. It was a huge thing. And at this point, we didn't start measuring. I think the first thing is to think about what's next, how can we help? And not only with the things that they need, also and I think it was Arturo mentioned before, we need to rebuild families, local businesses, small local businesses.
Absolutely.
At the end, I know, the water, I think it affected small businesses in every town. So at this point, they didn't open yet. So our next move will be to make, together with the B Corps in the fashion industry and another B Corp, which is a bank, Triodos, through his foundation, Triodos Bank, we are starting a match funding to take these funds to help these local businesses restart. It's not easy to handle. It's not easy to be transparent. It's not easy to trust where to send your money because bureaucracy is really, they need help now. And probably it took a long time to receive this money from insurance, from consortiums, or, they need to restart their activities right now because there's probably are families who need these businesses to live. So at this point, we focus on these this much funding. So I'm sorry I cannot bring any data about impact because we didn't have the time to measure. Something we know, it's all movement respond, all movement trust in our information. Every single B Corp company has the chance to collect what was needed in every single day, because at the beginning we asked for cleaning staff, then water, then food. Now it's probably clothes, and we're changing every week. Next step, as I mentioned, is to help the local economy, to provide with some funds to help them to recover from this data, and the B Corp movement is responding to that. So fashion industry and Triodos Bank is going to help us to set this much fund, and I think we are going to send this kind of to the local people. They will go to the affected cities or towns. And we know that they are waiting for these funds to reopen.
Absolutely.
Some of them are not having supermarkets, or even library probably is not the most important, but schools should continue. Now it's Christmas. They need to buy the bread or daily food, or even just
You
recover
mentioned
from
Laura, and thank you first and foremost to you and everything you guys are doing. B Corp and B Corp Spain, B Lab Spain, they've done an amazing job, and I'm sure that all the members and all the companies that are B Corp are very closely following up on this and trying to help. So first and foremost, thank you so much. You mentioned funding, which is something that Arturo was also alluding to, and it's something that you can probably see going forward. You mentioned holiday season coming. You mentioned school reopening, which is something that Max mentioned as well. And so usually, and we've seen this in other conflicts, in other natural disasters, in other geopolitical conflicts, the first couple of days, the first couple of weeks are critical, and everyone wants to help. But then as the media wave kind of passes and it does no longer is front news, and the cycle waits, the interest wanes a little bit as well, and people tend to forget. So the question I have for you, and very briefly, I'll start with you, Justo, is like, how can we provide ongoing support in these cases, right? Because it's one thing to try to clean up in the first couple of months, and then it's another thing, like Laura was thinking, well, but then they need the libraries, and then you need the emotional support, and you need all these other things that are going to take months and maybe years to really resolve. So how can we think about ongoing, and how can we think about supporting people in the long run, as opposed to just like the first month and then forget about it?
Private companies and normal people we need to focus on where to look for that areas that the government or institutions, official institutions cannot reach, no?
Yeah.
Because we need to remind that we are in a developed country, and official funds we do have, but the thing is how the disaster was very big, so there will be needs that are not covered.
Yeah.
I'm not talking only material needs. I'm talking also like know-how, or try to help people to find a way of living, no? So there are several options, no, to help people. But I mean, having this strategy to find those areas that the official institution cannot or did not reach yet, and help this area. They could be a small, let's say, for example, try to look for or reach small entrepreneurs that have lost everything, perhaps they receive, or they are going to receive some funds, but they don't know how to start or to restart a new small business, for example, because
Yeah,
I mean, we are entrepreneurs, and we have some knowledge, and we also have, like, say, a team, that can help this kind of people. That is the
absolutely,
first
right.
idea.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So reach out, just try to, yeah, look for needs that the government's not going to address and know how. And you mentioned entrepreneurs, which is also something that Arturo was talking about. Like, how do we restart the economy? How do we restart the small businesses, so that it becomes a virtual cycle and they generate money for that same community. Max, what do you think is the best on top of what Justo already mentioned and Laura already mentioned?
Well, yeah, I agree. At the end, what what are we facing now? We have to think that Valencia has lost more or less 35,000 companies caused by the flood. How many people will not have jobs anymore? How can these people continue having a normal life to try to win their money and to achieve the expenses that we have every day? Then at the end, business or the jobs is already an issue. And all these, we're speaking about small and medium companies that are thinking not to reopen because they are still paying helps that they received in the COVID and in another flood that they also had in 2020. Then they say, well, there's no sense. I mean, if I have to, and again, ask for money, even if it's with a low interest, but if my business or my company was not already in the best situation after these two disasters that we had the last 4 years, why should I try to restart another again a new company? Then I think that is one point. And the other point is construction is needed. I mean, we are also facing the rents here in Valencia. Well, with all the Airbnb, what happened around the globe, it's plenty of vacational apartments in all the cities and all the countries, and all the rents increased easily, I would say 30%. How can all these people that have lost their houses try to find out options if we do not face this need of constructions, apartments and houses? This would be also another thing. And by the way, also I was speaking with, well, Spain organization. It's quite particular because, well, we have the central government, then we have the the communities, and each community has their own local government. Then we always face this type of differences: who is responsible for what, or whatever.
Right.
I've spoken with La Diputación. This is a local institution who manages the needs of our community of Valencia. And goodbye. And yesterday I spoke with them, and they said, "Look, we had a meeting last week, and we have now negotiated that we are going to face to clean 600 garages that have still plenty of flood and plenty of water." Then imagine after 45 days, we are still negotiating what we are going to clean with the central government, what we are going to clean with the local government. Then is another point that we also have to think about. And also the second consequences that we are having. They also told me that they also said now we have the agricultural machinery that must arrive to the fields to pick up all the agricultural needs that we have, still have roads that are blocked and cannot arrive to pick up. Well, normally Valencia, you know, we have a lot of rice, we have a lot of clementines and oranges, and if we do not arrive to bring all this material to pick up the fruit or the vegetables, it's another loss that we are going to have added to the local situation, personal situation of the people that lost their house, lost their cars, the motorcycles, and whatever. Then
Right.
it's still, as Arturo said before, 2025 is going to still be a challenge all the year to try to achieve all the needs that we have locally, economically, politically, structures, and material jobs, houses. It's a huge challenge, indeed.
Absolutely.
I
Well,
just want to
thank
add
you.
a small think about here and giving data. Some of us represent the logistics, the logistic field, and in Valencia, the logistic field represents almost 12% of the GDP of the provincial GDP. And I don't know if it's, you know, probably in Singapore and not anywhere else. There is this percentage. So I think all of us also had a lot of work that has been affected, and some of the companies, you know, would try give them some money and of course 3 days to try to, you know, to help them to try to recover a little bit, no, from what had happened.
Yeah. See,
Absolutely.
it sorry. I was just gonna say that it's the impact of these floods goes beyond immediate personal loss. So it strikes at the heart of the local economy survival, as you all have mentioned at some point. So I recently read also an article about the Fallera dress workshops that are completely destroyed. So, and that is a huge impact for the local community because the Fallera is, the Fallas in Valencia is like an emblematic event. And lots of small businesses, they work during the whole year just for this event. And it brings a lot of funds and economy. It helps a lot the economy. So I was just thinking about how can we still support not just the families of the immediate in their immediate needs, but also help local businesses and artisans rebuild their livelihoods. I'd love to hear your perspective because this goes beyond emergency relief, isn't it?
Arturo, what do you think about and then Max, I know you wanted to say something, but what do you think about this side of things, right? Because we talked about a lot of the practical stuff. We talk about the rebuilding, construction, business owners picking and harvesting oranges. What about this aspect that Nuria mentions? And it's so important, right?
Yeah, for sure. Fallas is a local festival and it's very emotional. So when you have touching some emotional bands, pues it's very difficult to replace for whatever. So, but we have to understand that this is another business. It's a business, it's emotional, but it's a business. For me, as I mentioned earlier, there are two different phases in humanitarian disaster like the Dana in Valencia. The first is a transitional phase, is what we are suffering or we are passing through now, is giving support for urgent aids, basic needs for people. This is important to carry on, but it's also necessary to continue with permanent aid in all mentioned dimensions. Is housing, is mobility, is refurbishing, is also childhood sport clubs has been completely disappeared. the local businesses. So we have to continue for a long time, probably more than few years, giving support in different dimensions, and this require an efficient coordination between all public, as said Justo, and public and private organizations capable to continue to move goods as furniture, as appliance, at whatever. So, in my understanding, we have to synchronize the physical aid through logistical infrastructures, but also, as I said before, it's important the economic aid, because for people that has lost everything, it's not very easy to supply what they really need. The way we can touch the goal they have is to provide in some funds, to be very flexible. I said before, I think I was speaking in Spanish when we explaining that. We need to provide this support for a long time, and this is why the Thubi Group, which I explained it before, is a company who has an aim to support startups and companies with environmental and social impact, and it's merge of different companies, small and medium size, just for different topics. We have some companies with a specialty on managing the waste, so it's co-circular. So we will provide support through this company to help on the disaster related with the waste. You know that tons of waste right now in Valencia that we have to manage in a proper way. So for other companies, Thubi Cities, which is focused on the smart cities and to creating a new environment for living. So we will provide all our expertise to help people to refurbish the housing. So also for mobility, as I said, another company on the group is Campe, which is specialist on teaching and promoting the employment. So we will try to also put all our resources or networking to help people to refurbish the housing, and also if we can use the employment of the local people, it's twice the impact. So we think that we have to design a roadmap for the coming 12-24 months, and to coordinate between public and private organization, as to take the maximum synergy from the resources, even if physical supplies or funding capital to support the local areas.
Thank you. Laura, I would like to, well, hear your thoughts on this other aspect that Nuria brings, I guess, beyond the work and the economy and the jobs and the workshops, something that's a little bit more on the energy and on the mindset and on the sentiment of the people that were, of course, affected by this, and a lot of people lost dear ones in the process. So how do you heal that part that might be a little bit more on the Falera dresses that Nuria mentioned?
Yes, well, I think that probably when it comes emotional, it probably takes, different aspect. But for us, from the very beginning, we heard a lot of cases or examples of things that are emotional. And the people who were there working on the ground 20 hours per day, I think as Arturo said before, I think there is a lot of examples of how this affect personal, small businesses, big businesses, everything. And I think it's one example. I think it's another way to see it. I think also Valencia has, I think also the agriculture, this tourism, Also, there's a lot of factories. We were hearing about how these companies were receiving cancellations of orders of furniture, or because they cannot complain, or they cannot suit the times they will set in before the DANA. So for us as a community, we're working together to add to our next year strategy also how we will keep walking this path together with Valencia. So, and at this point, we want to hear local the people who will tell us every, in every phase that they will provide the information that would help us to make this force for good. And I think we cannot be everywhere. Everybody has the chance to help from their own perspective. As a B Corp movement, we believe that the force of the companies, and at this point, we want to support all those families who has small businesses and need to be reactivated in those small towns. Of course, Valencia has the Fallas, and the Fallas is a really big festival, and it also represents for touristic and everything a small, a big amount of funds for the city. But we are going to focus on what we can do, and at this point is those small businesses in those small towns. At the end, I think there are like 16 towns that are not Valencia. Valencia was not flood. It was the towns in the south. So we are going to focus at this phase on those businesses, and every single, every small businesses has a family behind, has a history, has a problem, has a losses, and I think the last week I was talking with a family in Alcudia, and they were saying we're going to live with this mud probably for months. We have to adapt to this new landscape, which is ruin and mud, and I think hearing them and trying to support those causes that we feel like we are aligned is the way we have, and all together we are going to support to Valencia to recover from this DANA, and hopefully as a country and as a society we learn something from this. And I think we learned something after pandemia, and now we're learning something different from this natural disaster, and hopefully we will be more prepared to respond with more effectiveness next time. Hopefully not next time, but I mean, climate change and everything, it's bringing more and more situations like this, and of course we're going to be there to face the situation with the affected people, but also trying to live as a society strong thoughts about what we learn and how can we prevent all what happened after DANA in Valencia.
Very, very important,
Enrique.
and thank you so much.
Enrique,
Yes,
yeah.
go ahead. So Justo and I
we
think
are-
Max wanted to say
One
something
second.
about this as well. Go
One
ahead,
thing
Justo.
we can do is to try to find local people, local entrepreneurs that needs help, that needs help, and put in contact with some people that wants to help them.
Yeah,
And try to
that's
find,
a good idea.
a
So find
way
local
or a link.
entrepreneurs. Yeah,
We will
Yes.
share that. Triodos Foundation already been in the ground in the affected cities, towns. They have a list of all those small businesses who couldn't reopen, and we are going to focus on them. But before that, we need to start the match funding. But that's our idea. The 16 more affected areas, we already been there. We already list all those small businesses who didn't or who couldn't restart or reopen, and we are going to focus on that. So we will share that information.
We will post all this information because I think, Justo, that's a great idea. If we know some of these small businesses, and Laura, it seems that you already have the list in this 16 small towns. So that would be a huge help if we as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as companies, we can help those smaller business. I think, Justo, you're right, and Arturo mentioned it as well, and Max mentioned it too. It's like, how can we help these entrepreneurs keep going and don't give up after all the disasters? Because Max mentioned the COVID pandemic and then another flooding and then this, Dana. Max, you wanted to say something as well, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, thanks, Enrique. Coming back again with Nuria subject regarding fallas and our local dresses and all this stuff. I wanted to say that Valencia has suffered after this flood also a situation of, Laura also mentioned it, a lot of cancellation. I have friends with restaurants. I have friends with hotels. In the group, we have one hotel also in Valencia capital. 2-3 weeks after, a lot of foreigners canceled their vacations in our city, caused by the wrong publicity, the wrong information that they received around Europe regarding Valencia's flooded. No, sorry. The flood was really located in 16 towns. Valencia capital was completely dry. Then the media did not inform correctly. And this also, it's another issue that we suffered regarding the tourism that we receive in our magnificent and marvelous city. I would say one thing that would be helpful from now on is please continue explaining as much as possible to the foreign people that Valencia is opened and we open our arms to receive everybody with our lovely city, our lovely beach, our lovely food, our lovely history and culture. And fallas, it's from the strongest part of our party is from the 15th March to 19th March. But a lot of things start the 1st of March. But let's concentrate from the 15th to the 19th. I invite everybody to come to our country to try to support also in another way, would say, to our people to bring them to our city and let them know how lovely it is, and I think this could also help in some sense. I only wanted to say.
Well, thank you. No, it's very important and very powerful. So thank you so much, Nuria. As we wrap this up, and we of course want to thank everyone that participated again. What are your final thoughts on this, Nuria?
Well, lots of learnings from these floods in Valencia. And of course, I think that one of the main takeaways for me is the importance of coordination at every stage of the way, bringing the needs people really need in every moment, and obviously being conscious and aware of the long-term needs and being there. So yeah, lots of learnings and takeaways from this conversation.
A lot of takeaways for sure. A lot of wisdom being shared here, and of course experiences of people that are in Valencia right now that are seeing the situation unfold. And so we see, and I think I can very clearly say that the situation is still critical. I think it is very, very important to mention that Valencia is open. It's 16 small towns south of Valencia that were more affected, and that's what we need to focus on. And that's what the media should focus on, because of course, Valencia is open for business, as Max was saying, and the more tourists come to Valencia, the more Valencia can help all the 16 towns. So if I take something out of this, and if you listeners take something out of this, is that come to Valencia. It's not Valencia that's flooded. It's 16 small towns that are suffering and are completely destroyed, and the situation is still critical. Arturo mentioned that we have to understand the needs in each area. We need to change as the needs change, and we have moved from maybe water and clothing and things like that to potentially moving into financing and more support of banks and clothing and starting to rebuild. Justo mentions that know-how is important, helping the small entrepreneurs. We'll follow up on this with you, Justo and Laura. We will share that list of small business owners in those 16 towns so that people that are listening to us want to help no matter where you are in the world. Maybe you can send some funds to these small business owners because jobs are needed. Valencia lost 35,000 companies is what Max mentioned. And then also he mentioned something very important, which is people in these small towns have gone through the pandemic, another flood and this flood. And it feels to me the way Max explained it, that entrepreneurs are just giving up. I mean, why do I start again? I already asked for a couple of loans. Why do I start? And I think that's something for us as an international community, as a supply chain community. That's probably something we can do to help them out as entrepreneurs, as business owners. Just give them kind of that extra hope, extra support, extra money to go back and restart their businesses. Harvest is also important. Max mentioned the harvest. And of course, the traditions, Nuria, the dresses, the beautiful city, have had the opportunity to be there. And I agree with Max and Justo and Laura and Arturo. If you want to help, don't cancel your vacation plans. Don't cancel your restaurant reservations. Valencia needs people more now than ever, so they can in turn help the 16 small towns. Again, this has been great. We'll try to see if maybe in a couple months from today, in a couple months, we can come together again and see if the needs have changed and maybe actually pitch some additional ideas. But for now, thank you so much. My name's Enrique Alvarez. This was Logistics with Purpose, and thank you everyone for being here with us. Thanks a lot.